The chamber inside the hollowed moon of Clethra was never meant to feel small. Its walls were grown from living crystal, its ceiling arched high enough to dwarf star cruisers, and the central war table shimmered with a rotating galaxy map. Yet today, unease pressed in from every direction. "You cannot be serious," rasped High Commander Drellick, his chitinous mandibles clicking in disbelief. "Those fragile mammals? The soft-skinned primates." Across the table, Ambassador Zyvex of the Valari Collective folded her tentacled limbs tightly against her body, a sign of deep anxiety among her kind. "I am entirely serious, Commander," she replied. "The intelligence reports are consistent. Humanity has claimed 17 star systems in just 3 standard cycles. 17, and that only accounts for what they've officially declared." A murmur rippled to the representatives of the Apex Predator Council, an alliance of the galaxy's most dominant species. Warriors who had crushed empires and erased civilizations exchanged uneasy glances. "They have no natural armor," scoffed General Cordage of the Chell Dominion, his many eyes blinking asynchronously. "No exoskeleton, no redundant organs. They are, by all biological measures, poorly designed for survival." Zyvex extended a limb toward the holographic console. "That is precisely what the Scourge Imperium believed." The projection shifted. A human colony appeared. Simple dome structures spread across the red soil of Proxima Centauri B. Atmospheric processors hummed quietly. Ground vehicles moved in orderly lines. Nothing about it looked threatening. Then the sky darkened. A colossal alien warship descended through the clouds, its hull bristling with weapons that bent light and shredded space-time itself. The chamber fell silent. "This footage," Zyvex said softly, "is from 3 cycles ago." Captain Ryan Blackwood was having an aggressively ordinary morning. He'd fought with the coffee dispenser, lost, and was contemplating whether caffeine substitutes counted as a human rights violation when the proximity alarms began screaming. He looked up at the command screen just as the image resolved. A hostile alien cruiser. Massive. Armed. Definitely not on the welcome committee. "Well," he muttered, taking a final sip of something that vaguely resembled coffee. "That's new." Lieutenant Olivia Martinez burst into command center, half-zipped uniform, damp hair pulled into a rush knot. "Sir." Unknown vessel entering low orbit. Weapons charging. "No kidding," Blackwood replied calmly. "Any chance it's here for sightseeing?" Martinez stared at the screen. "Should we try hailing them?" "Already did," Blackwood said. Their response translated to, "Prepare for biological harvesting." Martinez swallowed. "Evacuation?" 30,000 colonists, Blackwood said quietly. "No spare shuttles. No alternate habitats. This planet is all domes and dead land." She hesitated. "Then what's the plan?" Blackwood set his mug down with decisive clink. "We win." Martinez blinked. "Sir," he tapped the console. "Defense Command, initiate protocol. Rude awakening." A pause crackled over the channel. "Captain, that protocol is theoretical." "So is Flight 1's," Blackwood replied. "Execute." Back in the Apex Council chamber, the footage continued. The human settlement transformed. Panels slid open. Hidden silos emerged. Hundreds, no thousands, of launch ports ignited. But instead of missiles, small metallic pods streaked skyward. "What are those?" demanded Warlord Kether of the Silicon Hegemony. Zyvex's voice barely carried. "Humans call them breach pods." The swarm collided with the alien cruiser. Not explosions, attachments. The pods latched onto the hull like parasites. Zoom footage revealed mechanical legs, plasma cutters, and armored figures emerging directly inside the ship. "They're boarding it," someone whispered. "In individual units," Zyvex confirmed. 1 soldier per pod. Drellick recoiled. "They launched themselves at enemy warships?" "Yes," she said, "at extreme velocity. That would liquefy them." "They invented inertial dampening," Zyvex replied. "And as for volunteers, humans have a waiting list." The cruiser began to list. Internal detonations rippled across its frame. 20 minutes later, it fell from the sky. The silence afterward was absolute. "That..." Zyvex concluded, was humanity's first response to superior force. And it would not be their last. Inside the Apex Predator Council chamber, no one spoke. The image of the fallen Scourge cruiser still hovered above the crystalline war table, its broken hull smoldering across the surface of Proxima Centauri be like a warning etched into stone. That vessel, High Commander Drellick finally said, his mandibles grinding slowly, was classified as a system dominance platform. Yes, Ambassador Zyvex replied. The pride of the Scourge Armada. It had subjugated 13 civilizations, and it was destroyed, Drellick continued, by a colony outpost. Zyvex inclined her upper limbs. In under 20 minutes, Warlord Kether's crystalline body pulsed with agitation. Explained the boarding method again. Slowly, the ambassador gestured, and the hologram shifted to a close-up replay. The humans conceal launch pods beneath civilian infrastructure, she said. When threatened, they deploy them en masse. Thousands at once. But they are tiny, General Cordage protested. Our point defense systems would be overwhelmed, Zyvex finished. That is the point. The pods swarmed like metal insects, slipping through fire arcs, sacrificing themselves by the hundreds until enough reached the hull. They refer to the tactic as angry bees, she added. A low hiss rippled through the chamber. Each pod contains a single soldier, Zyvex continued, encased in environmental assault armor. The pod breaches a hull and inserts the soldier directly into critical internal spaces. Madness, Drellick muttered. Who would agree to such a deployment? Zyvex paused. Humans do not ask who will volunteer. She allowed the words to settle. They ask how many. The hologram shifted again. Now the council watched from inside the Scourge cruiser. Smoke-filled corridors. Flickering lights. Alien crew scrambling as armored figures dropped from ceilings, tore through bulkheads, and emerged from maintenance shafts that were never meant to be used that way. Captain Ryan Blackwood's voice echoed over the combat feed. All teams, you know the drill. Disable propulsion first. Life support second. Leave the reactor last. We want them busy. Copy, Captain. Came a dozen calm replies. The Apex representatives watched in stunned silence as human soldiers moved with ruthless efficiency. Small units. Precise coordination, zero hesitation. They're not fighting the crew, General Cordage observed slowly. They're fighting the ship. Yes, Zyvex said. Humans rarely see vehicles as separate from their operators. A human soldier crawled through a ventilation shaft barely large enough for his shoulders. What kind of warship, Warlord Kether demanded, has passages that small? One designed for species 3 meters tall with exoskeletons, Zyvex replied. Humans exploit scale. They always do. The footage followed a single soldier, Specialist Devonhale, sliding silently through the ducts. No security patrols. His voice whispered through the feed. These guys really trust their armor. Focus, Hale, Captain Blackwood replied. You're approaching the power coupling. The council watched as Hale peered down into a vast chamber pulsing with alien energy. There, Zyvex said, that structure powered the entire cruiser. And one human was sent alone? Drellick asked. Yes. Hale began placing charges, compact, understated devices that looked deceptively simple. Each charge, Zyvex explained, is strong enough to level a human city block. Then a metallic clang echoed. The alien technicians below froze. Slowly, they looked up. The alarm sirens erupted. The council collectively tensed. Contact, Hale muttered. I've been spotted. Abort, Blackwood ordered immediately. Get out. Hale finished arming the explosives. His fingers hovered over the timer. I'm shortening it, he said calmly. To how long? Blackwood demanded. 3 minutes. You were ordered. They'll disarm otherwise. Hale replied. This way, they chased me. The Apex representative stared as a human turned and sprinted through the vents, alien soldiers tearing through the shafts behind him with terrifying speed. This is not strategy, Drellick said. This is suicide. No, Zyvex corrected quietly. This is calculated risk. The feed followed Hale bursting from an external maintenance hatch, straight into open space. The vacuum hit instantly. His suit stiffened. Emergency systems flared. "I'm outside the hull," he gasped. "Request extraction." A small pod streaked toward him like a bullet. Behind him, an armored Scourge soldier launched itself into space, weaponizing the void itself. "They fight in vacuum?" Warlord Kether whispered. "Yes," Zyvek said. "They train for it." A tether fired, wrapped around Hale's leg. 10 seconds to detonation. Hale pulled a device from his belt and tossed it. The plasma burst severed the line. 5 seconds. The extraction pod swallowed him whole. 3, 2, 1. The Scourge cruiser detonated from within. The footage ended. The chamber remained silent. Finally, General Courtier spoke. "They should have died." Zyvex nodded. "By every model we use." She turned to face them all. "That is the flaw in our calculations. The Apex Predator Council had fought countless wars, analyzed thousands of species, and erased entire civilizations from the galactic record. Yet something about the humans unsettled them. They relied too heavily on equipment." Warlord Kether said at last, his crystalline body emitting sharp pulses of irritation. "Remove their machines and they become fragile." Ambassador Zyvex did not argue. Instead, she activated another data stream. "If only that were true," she said. The hologram shifted, revealing a frozen world bathed in pale blue light. Jagged ice plains stretched to the horizon. The atmospheric readout flashed warnings in half a dozen alien languages. Ambient temperature, -70 degrees Celsius. Atmospheric density, minimal. Lethal exposure time, standard apex physiology 12 seconds. "This is Europa," Zyvex explained. "A moon orbiting one of humanity's gas giants. A mining colony." The council leaned forward. Humans moved across the ice in projection, operating drills, hauling equipment, communicating casually. Some wore insulated suits. Others wore nothing more than layered clothing and visored masks. "They are exposed," General Courtier hissed. "Their flesh should crystallize." "It does not," Zyvex replied, "because these humans are not the same as those on Proxima Centauri." She expanded the data. "Human biology is flexible." "They've modified themselves?" High Commander Drellick demanded. "Yes," Zyvex answered. "Not uniformly. Selectively." The display highlighted genetic markers. "Enhanced brown fat production for heat retention. Proteins adapted from cold water life forms on their home planet. Improved circulation efficiency." Warlord Kether's voice dropped. "They altered themselves for a single environment. For survival," Zyvex corrected. "And they do this repeatedly." The hologram shifted again. Now a desert world appeared. Scorching sunlight. Sandstorms powerful enough to flay exposed skin. Humans work there too. Different humans. "This group has increased resistance to dehydration and ultraviolet radiation." Zyvex continued. "Their kidneys recycle water more efficiently. Their skin pigmentation adapts dynamically." "They redesign themselves for each world," Drellick murmured. "Yes," Zyvex said. "They do not terraform planets as much as they terraform themselves." A silence fell. "Most species require millennia for such adaptations," General Courtier said slowly. "Through evolution. Humans refuse to wait," Zyvex replied. The feed changed again, this time returning to the Scourge cruiser incident. A close-up followed a human soldier crawling through smoke-filled corridors. "Status report," Captain Blackwood's voice sounded. "Minimal resistance," came the reply. They didn't expect internal threats. "They never do," Blackwood said. "Move fast." Zyvex paused the footage. "Another concern," she said. "Human perception of warfare." "How so?" Warlord Kether asked. "They do not divide conflict into neat domains, space, ground, ship to ship," Zyvex explained. "To them, everything is a battlefield." She zoomed in on a device attached to the soldier's belt. "This unit masks body heat," she continued. "It doesn't cool the soldier. It lies to the universe about his temperature. Deception technology, Drellick growled. Adaptation technology, Zyvex corrected. They assume the enemy will evolve countermeasures. So they design tools that can be changed mid-conflict. The footage resumed. The human soldier moved through the vessel undetected by infrared sensors that should have revealed him instantly. They bypassed our primary detection systems, General Cordier said quietly. Not bypassed, Zyvex replied. Invalidated. The council grew restless. This cannot continue, Drellick said. They are too unpredictable. They learn too quickly, Kether added. Every engagement makes them more dangerous. Zyvex allowed herself a moment before responding. Then you understand the true threat, she said. The hologram shifted one final time. A chart appeared, human technological advancement plotted against galactic averages. The curve was wrong, too steep, too fast. They reached faster-than-light travel less than 12,000 years after their first metal tools, Zyvex said. Most species take 10 times that. Impossible, someone whispered. They reverse engineer everything they encounter, she continued. Wreckage, artifacts, even enemy mistakes. Drellick's mandibles still completely. And now they have access to our technology. Yes. The chamber darkened as the implications settled. They are no longer learning in isolation, Zyvex said softly. They are learning from us. She turned to face the council. And humans with teachers, she concluded, are far more dangerous than humans alone. The Apex Predator Council had reached an uncomfortable realization. Humanity did not fight wars away the galaxy understood warfare. They do not follow engagement doctrines, Warlord Kether said, his crystalline form pulsing erratically. No clear front lines. No escalation phases. Ambassador Zyvex nodded. Because humans do not believe war is about honor. The hologram shifted. This, she continued, is where our models fail. The projection displayed a human vessel, small, unremarkable, barely armed by galactic standards. Across from it loomed an alien battleship, nearly 50 times its mass. The council straightened. This is the encounter-designated Kingfisher strike, Zyvex said. The human ship did not open fire. Instead, it released debris, metal shavings, ceramic fragments, industrial waste. They're discarding trash, High Commander Drellick snapped. At relativistic velocity, Zyvex replied. The cloud crossed a distance in seconds. The battleship never fired a shot. The debris struck like a storm of invisible blades, shredding sensors, rupturing armor, and slicing through internal systems before automated defenses could even identify the threat. The ship went dark, dead in space. Silence returned to the chamber. They weaponized garbage, General Cordier said flatly. They weaponize physics, Zyvex corrected. Humans rarely invent new laws. They exploit the ones that already exist. The hologram shifted again. Now it showed asteroid mining operations. Human vessels attaching engines to massive rocks, guiding them carefully through space. Standard resource extraction, Warlord Kether said. Yes, Zyvex agreed. And also a planetary weapon. The display overlaid trajectories, hypothetical impact paths. Humans call it kinetic bombardment, she explained. No warheads, no exotic energy weapons, just mass and velocity. Drellick's mandibles tightened. Dropping asteroids is barbaric. It is efficient, Zyvex replied, and terrifyingly difficult to intercept once initiated. The council fell quiet. This is asymmetric warfare, General Cordier said slowly. They avoid strength versus strength conflicts. Yes, Zyvex said. If humans are weaker, they do not fight harder. They fight smarter. Another projection appeared, this time of civilian vessels. Conspo, mining rigs, colony ships, unarmed, or so it seemed. Zyvex gestured, and the hologram peeled back layers of schematics. Hidden armor plating, concealed weapon mounts, power systems capable of sudden overdrive. Every human ship, she said, is built with contingencies. You're telling us, Drellick said carefully, that their civilian fleet is also military. No, Zyvex replied. I'm telling you it can become military. The distinction unsettled them. They do not separate war from survival, she continued. To humans, preparation is not aggression. Kether's crystalline body dimmed. That means any strike against them is never against a single target, Zyvex finished. It is against an ecosystem designed to resist destruction. The council turned inward, tension thick in the chamber. So what are our options? Drellick demanded. Containment? Alliance? Or decisive action? Zyvex hesitated. Containment will require buffer zones, she said. But humans already occupy many of those regions. They expand aggressively, Kether said. They expand defensively, Zyvex countered. Every colony is built to ensure they are never cornered again. Alliance, then, General Cordage suggested, redirect their aggression. That may be possible, Zyvex said. Humans value cooperation, if it is equal. Drellick's eyes narrowed. And the third option? Zyvex raised a limb slowly. Preemptive war. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices. They are still young. They are too dangerous to ignore. If we strike now, they will adapt. The argument cut off as a chime echoed through the hall. All turned toward the massive doors. What is that? Drellick demanded. Zyvex checked her in her face. Her tentacles stiffened. We have an unexpected arrival. The doors slid open. A single figure stepped inside. Small, upright, soft-skinned. A human, dressed in a simple blue uniform. She walked forward without hesitation. Greetings, she said calmly. I am Admiral Elena Costa of the United Earth Fleet. Shock rippled through the chamber. You dare enter this council? Drellick roared. The human inclined her head slightly. I apologize for the interruption, she said, but I believe you're discussing matters that directly involve my species. She smiled, pleasant, controlled, and I thought it might be more efficient if we spoke directly. The Apex Predator Council stared. The humans had not waited to be summoned. They had come first. The Apex Predator Council chamber had never been breached, not once in its recorded history. Yet a human now stood at its center. High Commander Drellick recovered first, his mandibles snapping sharply. How did you find this place? Admiral Elena Costa did not flinch. With effort, she replied politely. This moon is shielded, Warlord Kether said, crystalline body vibrating with restrained hostility. Layered quantum masking. Phase-shifted detection grids. No species outside this alliance even knows it exists. Costa nodded appreciatively. It's impressive work. Truly. That did not help. You are trespassing, Drellick growled. This council could have you disintegrated where you stand. Of course, Costa said calmly. If that were your intention, you wouldn't still be talking to me. The chamber went quiet. Ambassador Zyvex studied the human closely. You've been listening, she said slowly. Yes, Costa admitted. For 6 months. Outrage erupted. You spied on us. This is an act of war. Insolence. Costa raised one hand, not in surrender, but to ask for a pause. We prefer the term preemptive awareness, she said. And before you ask, yes, we heard everything discussed today. Zyvex's tentacles tightened. Then you know we are debating your fate. I do, Costa replied, which is why I'm here. She stepped closer to the crystalline war table. Without asking permission, she activated the holographic interface. The display shifted instantly. A star map appeared. Human territory marked in calm blue. Apex domains in sharp red. Containment, Costa said, pointing. You need buffer zones here, here, and here. She zoomed in. The problem is those regions already contain human colonies, mining operations, or transit corridors. Asking us to abandon them is a negotiation. It's surrender. General Cordiates leaned forward. Alliance, then? Costa smiled faintly. That's the option we prefer. The chamber stirred. We value cooperation, she continued. Trade, research, mutual defense. Humanity has no interest in ruling the galaxy. And preemptive war? Drellick demanded. Costa's smile faded. I strongly advise against it. With a gesture, the hologram changed. Human ships filled the display. Freighters, colony vessels, industrial platforms. Civilian. Then the image peeled back. Hidden armor, concealed weapons, power systems capable of sudden combat conversion. Every human vessel is built with redundancy, Costa said. Not because we seek war, but because we learned early what happens when you're unprepared. Warlord Kether's glow dimmed. Your civilian fleet is a sleeper armada. No, Costa corrected. It's insurance. Drelik's voice dropped dangerously. Is this a threat, Admiral? No, she said evenly. It's transparency. She turned to Zyvex. Your analysis was thorough, Ambassador, but you missed one thing. She looked around the chamber. Humans do not divide the galaxy into predators and prey. We categorize species based on behavior. A pause. Friends. Neutrals. Threats. Zyvex's tentacles curled inward. And which are we? She asked. Costa held her gaze. That depends on what you choose next. How did you bypass our security? Kether demanded. Our access points are chronolocked. Costa sighed softly. We walked in. That's impossible, Drelik snapped. Your authorization system, Costa explained, recognizes apex neural patterns. It never occurred to you to program rejection protocols for humans. The chamber stilled. You didn't consider us a variable, she said, so the system didn't stop us. General Cortih let out a sound that might have been laughter. You didn't break the door. No, Costa said. You simply never locked it. And now, Drelik asked. Costa straightened her uniform. Now I invite you to talk, she said. 3 standard cycles from now, Earth will host a galactic cooperation summit. She placed a small device on the war table. A holographic invitation unfolded. Logistics, security, accommodations for dozens of species. 37 civilizations have already agreed to attend, she said. We would be honored if the Apex Predator Alliance joined them. Silence stretched. General Cortih spoke first. You infiltrated our most secure facility to deliver an invitation. Costa smiled. First impressions matter. Zyvex studied the invitation carefully. This summit, she said slowly. Weapons. Ceremonial only, Costa replied. Words do more lasting damage than blades. One by one, the representatives exchanged glances. Finally, High Commander Drelik spoke. You are either the most audacious diplomat in the galaxy, he said, or the most reckless. Costa inclined her head. Possibly both. The commander's mandibles twitched. Laughter, perhaps. Very well, he said. We will attend. Relief flickered briefly across Costa's face. Excellent, she replied. Then this meeting was a success. She turned toward the doors. One final question. Drelik called after her. How do you intend to leave? Costa smiled over her shoulder. With an escort, if you don't mind. We are reckless, she added lightly, but not foolish. Harmony Station floated at the Lagrange point like a promise made of steel and light. Built in less than 2 human years, the massive structure was not elegant by galactic standards, but it was unmistakably purposeful. Modular rings rotated slowly, each section engineered to support a different biology, varying gravity fields, atmospheric compositions, temperature zones, and radiation shielding. Humanity had not built a monument. They had built an invitation. Admiral Elena Costa stood at the observation deck, hands clasped behind her back, watching the first Apex vessels approach. Crystalline hulls glimmered like fractured stars. Chitin-armored warships followed, their weapons powered down but unmistakably present. They came, said President Alejandro Rivera, stepping beside her. They were always going to, Costa replied. Curiosity beats fear, eventually. Rivera studied her. You took a risk walking into their council alone. She allowed herself a faint smile. Humans tend to do that. Inside the Central Assembly Hall, representatives from dozens of species gathered. Some towered over their human hosts. Others hovered, glowed, or flowed. Translation fields hummed softly, converting languages, gestures, even subtle color shifts into meaning. The Apex delegation entered last. High Commander Drellick led them, his posture rigid but controlled. His many eyes swept the hall, taking in security. Present but restrained, human soldiers positioned discreetly, weapons holstered, alert but non-threatening. "You built this quickly," Drellick observed as Costa greeted him. "We didn't want anyone to feel unwelcome," she replied. He studied her for a long moment. Or unprepared. Costa met his gaze. Both can be true. The summit began not with speeches, but with silence, a deliberate human choice. Then Costa stepped forward. "Humanity does not seek dominance," she said, her voice carrying clearly across the hall. "We seek stability, trade, knowledge, survival, shared if possible." She gestured, and data streams appeared. Joint research proposals, trade frameworks, non-aggression pacts, shared exploration initiatives. "We know how the galaxy sees us," she continued. "Fast, aggressive, unpredictable." A ripple of unease passed through the Apex delegates. "But understand this," Costa said firmly. "Every action you study was a response, not a declaration." She paused. "The first species we encountered tried to harvest us. The second tried to conquer us. Humanity learned early that survival required preparation." Drellick's mandibles clicked softly. "And now," he asked. "Now," Costa replied, "we choose something better." The negotiations were tense. Arguments flared. Assumptions were challenged. More than once, ancient grudges nearly derailed the talks. But humans persisted. They listened. They adapted. They compromised where they could, and held firm where they would not. By the third day, the tone had shifted. By the fifth, agreements were drafted. By the seventh, history had quietly changed direction. On the final day, Drellick requested a private meeting. The two stood again at the observation deck, watching ships depart. "You could have waited," the commander said. "Built your power quietly. Struck first." "Yes," Costa agreed. "We could have." "Why didn't you?" She considered the question. "Because winning a war doesn't guarantee surviving the peace," she said. "And because humanity is tired of fighting alone." Drellick studied her. "Your species is dangerous," he said finally. Costa nodded. "So is a galaxy." A long silence followed. Then Drellick extended one of his primary limbs. "In my culture," he said, "this signifies acceptance among equals." Costa took it. Weeks later, across human and alien space alike, a new term entered the galactic lexicon. Humanity, conditional ally, not trusted blindly, not underestimated again, but respected, back on Earth. As ships returned and embassies formed, President Rivera addressed a unified assembly. "Humanity has not claimed the stars by conquest," he said. "We claimed our place by refusing to be prey, and refusing to become monsters." He paused. "We are not the strongest species in the galaxy." A smile crossed his face. "But we are the ones who adapt." Far away, in the Apex archives, Ambassador Zyvex finalized her report. Her conclusion was brief. "Humans do not fight to dominate. They fight to endure. And they will turn anything, technology, diplomacy, even themselves, into a weapon for survival." She sealed the document. History would remember the moment clearly, the day the galaxy realized. Humanity wasn't asking for permission. They were offering partnership. And that was far more terrifying and hopeful than war.